Hello everybody, my name's James, and for the benefit of those listening to the audio, you're listening to Ask James, my regular YouTube live stream where I welcome questions from the YouTube community on anything football related. To timestamp this, it is Friday, January 24th, and it has just gone past 1:30 p.m. UK time. I'll be answering questions up to 2:30 p.m. UK time in order of submission. But before I do, we have to get the elephant out of the room. And for those of you who only absorb your Planet FPL content via YouTube or via audio podcast platforms, you may not know what happened this morning. Many of you in the stream, I'm guessing, probably already do know because I posted it on social media, and our patrons will certainly be aware from our podcast this morning. This idiot, me, this morning managed to take a minus 56, which I have to own. I've got nobody to blame but myself. Absolutely gutted, but I feel a bit better about it now that a few hours have passed, obviously. We have a game on within our Patreon community called the minus 56. It's called a minus 56 because if you did take 15 transfers every week in hits, it would cost you a minus 56. I was looking at a team for this week and managed to somehow submit transfers. I've got no one else to blame. I don't want any sympathy. It's no one's fault other than my own. You have to get on with it. I have three options. One, take the worst minus 56 of all time because the team looks absolutely terrible. Or I wildcard or I free hit. Neither are great, but I'm almost definitely going to free hit. The reason I will almost definitely free hit is from a value perspective because I've got way too much value in so many players. The honest truth is, whether I wildcarded or free hit, I'm probably only making 4, probably maximum 5 changes. My team's not going to look that different. I've probably completely blown the free hit. When it's not even probably, I've completely blown the free hit chip, unless I get extremely lucky this game week. But it brings a challenge. Manipulating game week 33 and 34 without a chip later in the season will be particularly difficult for me. I've already started looking at the positives. One positive being that having already used the bench boost, I've not got to manipulate to a situation where I want 15 doublers, so I can use some balance across game weeks 33 and 34. It's a bit of a disaster, but that's it. We can't change it now. It's my fault. I can only get on with it, and as I said, I'm almost definitely going to free hit this week. I don't want to talk about it anymore. This isn't like some fucking drag you in. Oh, look at me and my content. Like, it's sickening. I'm gutted. I don't really want to talk about it anymore. I'm going to free hit. Hopefully it goes well. I'm looking forward to the challenge ahead. Let's answer some of your bloody questions, which I'm sure it's probably going to get mentioned again. But okay, here we go. Darren Jenkins is first. Says, hi, James. Torn this week deciding who to bench out of Cliver, Wood and Palmer. Would benching Palmer be mad, especially when the other two play each other? Thanks for the content you boys put out. Especially when the other two play each other. I mean, I wouldn't bench Cole Palmer, no. This idiot's probably going to take him out on a free hit. I noticed Pep said he's only got one fit centre back, so no, I wouldn't bench him. For me, I guess I'm going without this week, aren't I? I pretty much probably have to. Clive and Wood playing each other. Yeah, I mean, they're both attacking players. It's not conflicting. It's not like it's Kirkez against Wood. Although I probably fancy Bournemouth to win this week, and I don't think you want to bench Chris Wood. There's more likelihood of obviously Bournemouth spreading the goals about. So, I would play Wood and Palmer from that down. FPL Don says, hi, James. Hope you're okay. Would you do Pedro Wood to Gakpo this week or wait until next week with any extra info? So on Wednesday night, I did Solanke to Gakpo. That's obviously now irrelevant and was obviously an easy call for me with Solanke now being ruled out for around about 6 weeks. Pedro, you don't particularly want to get rid of this week. Me and Sush discussed this on our Patreon pod this morning. I actually really would consider the Wood to Gakpo move now. I know it's a really difficult one to sell. He's obviously so highly owned. He's doing incredibly well. It's not to say he's a bad asset. But if you're getting Gakpo, you're doing it because you're attacking the fixtures, right? So why not sell Wood for the same reasons? So if it was me, yeah, I probably would go Wood to Gakpo, actually. Darren Jenkins says, might as well squeeze one more in. Are McAllister or Szoboszlai worth looking at as the third Liverpool pick? Got Salah and Gakpo. Think attacking players the way to go over defence. Yeah, and I mean, one decision for me is I might on the free hit just go Gakpo, Diaz and Salah. But it will be inevitable for me, considering everything I've said about Trent, that he goes off under that circumstance. That's my three choices for this week. No, I wouldn't, in all honesty, Darren. There's a possibility that one of them would pop off, maybe. Jones is out of this weekend, isn't he? So, I mean, that only increases the likelihood maybe of him getting one of the games in the double. So, no, I wouldn't be considering either, mate. FPL Don says, thanks for going ahead with this stream when you probably really didn't want to. It did me good, actually, in the sense that it happened this morning, like literally 15 minutes before me and Suj were going to record our Patreon podcast. And he said to me, he was really good about it. So he said, like, do you want to postpone? I was like, let's get on with it and get it over and done with. And as soon as I spoke, I obviously felt better about it. So, no, not really, but I don't promise content and not deliver content. King of Mandalore says, is Visser a viable Jackson replacement this week? The Forest rumours have me worried it will go there and not play regularly. Yeah, I don't think you can buy your own Visser at this moment. It's not to suggest those that are on should panic and sell. Definitely not. Good fixtures. But you literally only have to wait one more week and then the transfer window's closed. Brentford might even do some business, it's worth saying. You know, as discussed on Clash of Correspondence with Neil and Mark on Tuesday, which obviously went out yesterday, it's really good. We recommend having a listen to that. We obviously speak about the possibility of Visser going to Forest and why has that news come out publicly. Someone obviously thinks that's a possibility, it could happen. So, I mean, is it viable? Yes, it is. Would I buy Johan Visser this week specifically? No, absolutely not. Ethan Justin says, hi James, have you got 2 wing back and 2 inside forward recommendations for Amrim's United that nobody's said? Well, I doubt I'd have anything that nobody else would have suggested, because I would be very honest with you and say I don't get to watch enough of European football and other Champions League and Europa League games. So I would say the majority of people are throwing suggestions, Ethan. I've got better knowledge of good options in other leagues. Short-term ones, considering United haven't really got money at the moment. Ben Chilwell as a possibility. The problem is that's obviously going to take a while to get him up to speed and fitness, but we've obviously heard the Garnacho to Chelsea links. Is there something there that with Ben Chilwell that could possibly work, for example? The inside forward positions, I think it wants someone with a bit of speed and dribbling ability, but is more structured than, say, a Garnacho type player. But I'm not going to give you any names, Ethan, in all honesty, that you probably haven't heard already. Brian Lee says, hi James, hope you're well. For Liverpool double, I'm on Salah and Trent at the moment. Happy with midfield and forwards as it stands. Alisson seems like the easy swap in for Raya. Do it this week or wait. I think if you're going Alisson, you probably do it now, don't you? I think would probably be the way, yeah. And I have no problem with people making that sort of move. It's understandable. Also, William Saliba, we know, is out for Arsenal this weekend. They're hoping he's going to rejoin training next week. So at least for them, that's good news that it's not long term. But yeah, I think if you're making Raya to Alisson move, I think with the Ipswich fixture, you're wanting to make that move this week, I think, aren't you? Next up is CMP. It says, I have Salah Gakpo. Do you prefer Alisson or Konate for 24? Keeper is Raya and I can get Konate from any of Gay, Hall or Robinson. Which move would you make? Hoping to run through 29, thanks. Well, this is one of the things I thought of with Raya is, and it's even more so of a factor now for me potentially, is Arsenal's fixture run after game week 30 is really good. Doesn't mean, by the way, that I wouldn't necessarily go for Pickford, for example, next week. Because I'm still going to end up going Solanke to Gakpo next week, aren't I? It's like almost a certainty. I only have to wait for Gakpo to get through his game tomorrow. I can't make the transfer any earlier. Gakpo comes through the game, I'd do it. He could play in Eindhoven, and I'd be bloody unlucky under that circumstance. And that wouldn't be my fault. That would be unlucky. It's a case to say wait, maybe. I'll look at the value of the 2 players. Konate and Alisson are both kind of dull picks. I think Alisson has shown, and he showed it again last week, even in a 2-0 victory at Brentford, it was a 9-pointer, wasn't it, I think? So there's that capability of more. Konate is not likely to get many attacking returns, and obviously there is the small possibility that he could get benched. But what I would say is he almost certainly plays tomorrow. I don't think there's any question on that. Quansah played in midweek. He'll definitely play Bournemouth and Everton away games if he stays fit. And then there actually isn't any reason really with Liverpool having a free midweek after Wolves to think that he wouldn't play that either. So if Konate fits your solution best, I understand that. If you're looking to run through, I think it makes that move a little bit more tempting than the Raya move, personally. but you may have decided there's every chance you're on double Arsenal defence and you want to come off on. Shout out Billy Taylor. Hope you're well, buddy. Ross Cordingly says Watkins to Gakpo or Gordon to Diaz next week. I think you could look, if Cunha stays with Wolves, Watkins to Cunha in 26 or 27 will appeal. And therefore, by default, possibly Gordon to Diaz, because Gordon will become a cut to 25. Just consider Brian Bumo as another alternative for a possible move 25. But I think, yeah, if I was on Watkins at this stage, Ross, I'd want to be keeping for at least the next 3. JP says, how do you expect the Robinson-Ahmad matchup to conclude? I have both and don't know who to start. Or I could bench both and get in a Liverpool defender, Trent or VVD. Well, it's not necessarily that kind of matchup. And I think Diallo will probably play the 10 position on Sunday. Reason being, Fulham have a huge bias towards that left-hand side. So you would be pinning Diallo. You really would be pinning him in to a right-back position. If he starts in the wing-back berth. So I don't think Diallo will play that position. I think he'll play further up the field. So I don't think it's actually a consequence. I would be surprised if Amorim picked Diallo to play wing-back under that circumstance. The flip is you can say, well, we'll play him then, we'll try and push Fulham back. It won't happen with this Manchester United at the moment. They'll end up getting pushed back, and they're certain of that. He's saying bench both Trent or VVD. How did it... I have both. Don't know who to start, or I could bench both and get in a Liverpool defender, Trent or VVD. I mean, look, if you're going to buy a Liverpool player, JP, it's now, really, isn't it? So if you want to buy Trent and then bench one or the other, you're like, yeah, fine. FPL Pippo Dom says, hi, James, all the way from Australia. Love the content. Thank you, mate. Hope you're well. Says, as a Spurs fan, what do you think is the point of no return for Ange? Is it crashing out the cup competitions or a slide down the league table? Can't slide much more, Dom. Well, I mean, we could, but I don't suspect it's going to get much worse in terms of a league position. I don't think the teams behind have that much of ability to do too well. Could Everton overtake us? Yeah. I mean, could Wolves? I mean, if we keep losing every week, yeah, possibly. Maybe ask me on Monday after we've lost to Leicester. And the reality is, Dom, if we lose to Leicester on Sunday, the stadium will turn, most likely. And it might be that it's Monday. So that game's really got to be won on Sunday. It's the best fixture that we could have at the moment. I actually think Southampton would be a more awkward fixture for us at the moment than Leicester, and not having a good time of it at the moment. There's the challenge of the recovery of last night. They put so much effort into winning that game and getting over the line last night. That will take stuff out of Sunday. We should definitely dominate the ball on Sunday. That shouldn't be too much of an issue. We certainly be vulnerable to people like Mavadidi though on the counter attack, for example. So yeah, if that game gets lost on Sunday, mate, it's bad. Then I think with the cup games, it's the manner of how it happens. So if we go to Anfield and we get beat 4-0, which obviously could happen, that's not good. If the Villa game then gets lost badly 3 days later, yes, possibly game over, mate. So last Sunday was a real changer because it was, as I said, I've been saying all throughout the week, and I said it on Monday's review pod, that was the first one where I think it was significantly and unquestionably Ange Postecoglou's fault for the reason that we lost that football match, because he should never have been playing a back 3. Even with the 11 personnel that he had, he still should have been playing a back 4, and it's inexplicable that he made that decision. And that was a final straw for a lot of Tottenham fans. It wasn't a final straw for me, by the way. I'm still desperate for him to try and get out of it. But as I've also said this week, I don't think I could blame the club if they went, nah, enough of this. There were some positive signs last night. First half performance was good. Second half performance was bad. But they really, really fought for it. There was no question on the players and their commitment to play for that shirt at the moment. And that I always keep coming back to that at the moment. Like, as bad as it's felt at times, I'd never look at them and think, you ain't trying. Just not good enough. And I mean, the injuries is obviously well documented. Steve says, hi, James. Can't listen to your stream tomorrow, so I was wondering, what are your thoughts on selling Sarr for Szoboszlai? Thanks. Yeah, I'm not keen. Palace's next 3 fixtures are great. Brentford at home, United away, Everton at home. If I was sitting on a Palace asset, I'd be keeping. I very much considered Jackson to Mateta earlier this week. Mateta is a possible for me with my circumstance this week. I don't think any other Palace player is. Like Eze, maybe. I might look at Eze. I probably wouldn't look at Sarr. but I don't think I'd be moving him on with Brentford this week. Not at all. And as kind of already covered, I think reality is, if you are picking Szoboszlai or McAllister, the only player that you could definitively pick that would be worse for fantasy is Gravenberch, isn't it? I'm not keen, mate. I'm afraid to say. Hanny says, hello, James. Bench one, please. Rodgers against West Ham. Sarr against Brentford. Bruno Fernandes at Fulham or Wood at Bournemouth. I'm going to bench Bruno or Wood, both on pens. Yes, the tougher two fixtures, but you know what they're capable of. And look how Bruno popped up with a brilliant winning goal for United last night. So it's between Sarr and Rodgers. Very reluctantly, I'd probably bench Sarr from that. Philip Sutzer says, hi James, no question for me. Just wanted to wish you the best of luck in this and future game weeks. Considering the SNAFU from today. I don't know what that acronym stands for, but I've got a good idea, mate, and I appreciate it. Mark McGrath says, hi James, hope you're well. Best 3 Liverpool players for the double, plus best 3 Everton. Best 3 Liverpool, I think, in my opinion, as it stands now, is Trent, Salah, Gakpo. I think for Everton, it's Pickford, definitely. And I think, I mean, do I need to factor value in this or not? I mean, is this like a free hit consideration? Or I think factoring in value, Mykolenko. And then based on what I saw last Sunday, Calvert-Lewin. I'm not keen on that. I may add one Everton defensively next week. I'd be really surprised if I end up adding Calvert-Lewin. I guess in a circumstance where I've got Solanke injured, if Isak or Jackson got injured this weekend, and I'd have no problem obviously keeping those 2 assets next week, then I can't see me considering Calvert-Lewin or Illiman and Dyer. But I guess if one of those 2 players did get injured, then I mean, I could only really buy Gakpo and a doubler unless I look at Mateta and something else or something. And yeah, that's a rabbit hole I don't need to fall down, I don't think. JP says, should I go Konate VVD instead of Trent if that gives me more funds for upgrades like Ahmad to Bumo? I mean, yeah, you have to consider these things, JP, right? I mean, very difficult when I can't see all your team, but yeah, if you're planning a move like Ahmad to Bumo, like even like next week or something, and you haven't got a great reason to tell you like, no, don't do that. So yes, you have to factor that into your thinking. You'll know my opinion, but it's a 2-way street, right? Do I think Trent is worth that money at the moment? No. But is he, as I just said, one of the best 3 Liverpool assets? Yes. So take that how you want, right? Diljeet07 says, good afternoon, James. Hope you're well. Hope free hit or wildcard pans out for you. Thank you. Still a lot higher than some of us, even with the 56-point hit. Would you take out Gabriel Van Dijk this week or next? Sorry, Gabriel for Van Dijk. Yeah, again, I think like the Liverpool move is this week. In any case, I'm just trying to give Clayton and Sudge a chance, right? Obviously. King of Mandalore says, is sales to Pickford worthwhile? I don't mind it as a move. I wouldn't force it through this week. I think that's a next week move. I don't think Sells is significantly better than Pickford is significantly better than Sells this week, for example. So I mean, it's a next week move. With Forest fixtures, there is a reason to consider that. Yeah, the fixtures are tough for Forest over the next 6 or so. Matt says, sorry to hear about the big hit. You'll bounce back. I will. Yes. I will do my best to navigate it, pal. He says, this might be on your benching dilemma screen tomorrow, but who would you bench from Rodgers, Pedro, Sarr and Wood? It's probably going to be the same answer that I gave for someone similar earlier, Matt. So it's probably going to be very reluctantly Ismail Sarr. Jacob says, hi James, who would you bench between Rodgers, João Pedro, Bumo? This unfortunately is going to be probably Rodgers from that. Bumo at Palace, not enough reason to bench that. João Pedro against Everton, no. I mean, I think Villa will do well on Sunday, right? But I think that's the reluctant conclusion there. You just hope he misses. Rodgers is going to be a real painful one for me, presumably on this free hit, because obviously I'm going to go treble Liverpool. I'm loath to take out any of Hall, Gordon, Isak. I don't want to take Gabriel out, considering how Wolves defend from set plays. Right, that's 7 of my starting 11 this week anyway. And then Rodgers, I'm to West Ham, I was going to start. Just take that out as well. Man, That's what I'm saying. It's just worked out as a complete waste, isn't it? Darren Jenkins says non-FPL. Sorry, Elron covered. Would you play Ahmad and Munoz or Visser and Robinson, or just bin the all-in strategy? I mean, from that anyway, my choices would be Visser over Ahmad and Robinson over Munoz. I fancy the clean sheet potential for Fulham on Sunday. Darren Jenkins is non-FPL, but as a West Ham fan, I'm interested to know if Ange had been sacked 3 weeks ago, would you have been happy if Spurs got Graham Potter? No. Explain why I don't have a problem with Potter. And if Potter had come in sort of around about the time Chelsea got him, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. And I wouldn't have had a huge problem with it. I just think we've gone to a real kind of aggressive pressing style. And I think to move back to something that's a little bit slower, I wouldn't have wanted, personally. So it would have been a no from me. But like in terms of, I think it's a great appointment for West Ham, personally. Tob says, hi, pal. Any preference of Ndiaye or DCL? Pretty sure I'm going DCL, but interested in your perspective as always, Tar. Yes, as that, and as just covered a few minutes ago. Kets81 says, hi, James. Who to get rid of, Jackson or Raul Jimenez, and who for? So, I mean, this is where you kind of do a little bit of a balance, right? So, Jimenez, a better fixture this week, but then Jackson, quite clearly better fixture next week, subject to what your 5 midfielders are. You may want to bench Jimenez at Newcastle next week. I can't answer that for you. Jimenez then leads really good to the blank. Jackson then has 2 tough away games, but then 2 great home games. Then his fixture in the blank is rough, but then the fixtures again afterwards are really good from game week 30 onwards. If you don't know where you want to go, the advice at the moment is stick. Stick on the 2 players. I think you'll be happy to have Jackson next week. I mean, for me, like with Waits, again, he's one obviously I'm going to take out on the free hit, but I'll kind of be pleased that he's sitting there next week. So yeah, I mean, if you don't know where you want to go, it's a no. The one move I really considered personally for me this week was Jackson to Mateta. I wouldn't do that over getting Gakpo, for example. King of Mandalore, Anjin or Angel. I'm still in Anjin camp. I'd skip it. I'd covered. I think I answered the question earlier. But thank you, mate. Jerry Dami says, hello, Jimbo. Would you prioritise buying Gakpo and Bumo? Frontline consists of Isak, Wood, Cunha. Midfield consists of Salah, Palmer, Semenyo, Amad Diallo, and Sarr. I mean, the priority is Gakpo and now. Yeah, it's straightforward, mate. Eddie says, do you think Richarlison or Mikey Moore might be worth a pump, mate? So, here's the other big problem with my free hit. I've probably got to gamble something Tottenham, haven't I? I mean, I don't have to. I don't have to do anything. But with the fixture, and it's probably Richarlison or Sonny, this is what it's going to be. All this criticism I give Son, I'm going to stick him in, and I'm either going to hate him for it afterwards, or he's going to save my free hit. I mean, imagine that. And he does have a good historical record against Leicester. I'm aware of that. I don't think Wayo Koulibaly will get thrown straight in for Leicester, their new right-back signing. So, Son could have some joy even on Sunday. Richarlison is a consideration for me. But obviously just come back from injury. He did, 45 at Everton, 55 last night. Maybe gets towards 70, 75 on Sunday, maybe. I guess it depends how the game's going a little bit. On Mikey, many of you know I'd love to get him in the team, without a doubt. I think for fantasy, this isn't a conversation at the moment. I wouldn't recommend Richarlison, but I don't want that to look a bit two-faced if Richarlison ends up on a free hit for me, right? It's different. Would I buy Richarlison at this moment? No. Ben Thomas says, hi, James. Do you think Jackson can outscore Gakpo this week? Can he? Of course, it's 2 players and a head-to-head, mate. So, goes without saying. But, yeah, I think, again, if you're considering that move, there's a reason for me to say no. Joel Stockdale says, hi, James. Is there a case for not playing a chip in 24? I've got a strong case for not playing it in 23, but it's a bit late now. Yeah. There's cases for it. I'm not hugely keen on the assistant manager chip. That's not changed. There is a little bit more possibility of me maybe holding back the treble captaincy, but I still think I'm probably going to use it on Mo in 24. I don't definitively think that there'll be a better option later in the season. No reason to free hit in 24. It's unlikely because of some of the other fixtures that like Arsenal playing Man City. That I don't think bench boost will look great. Forest playing Brighton, Newcastle, Fulham playing each other. Like it's unlikely to look great for a bench boost. So I think you're down to obviously the triple captaincy and assistant managership. There will definitely be other assistant manager opportunities, and there will of course definitely be other triple captaincy opportunities. I do strongly believe that there will be better assistant manager opportunities. I'm not sure on the triple captaincy. So that would be my take. If you have got all of your chips remaining, I would recommend playing something in game week 24 would be my recommendation. BHH67 says, hi James, sorry to hear about the hit. Would you bench Wood, Rogers or Sarr this week? Love the content, you're very welcome, mate. Same answer, I'm going to say Sarr, mate. Matthew Broad says, hi James, non-FPL question, but what's your thoughts on the ticket drama last night? Massive risk to the welfare of young supporters. I don't know the answer to this, Matthew, because I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about, but I presume you're relating to Rangers fans. I could certainly see dotted around the ground in Old Trafford last night, so I presume it's in relation to that. But I don't know enough about it to give you an honest answer, Matthew, so just be blagging and bullshitting. There's an ongoing problem with, I think, away fans getting into home ends at grounds. It's a problem that's been occurring in certain Tottenham games this season as well, so I'm a little bit familiar with it. More needs to be done from the home club to make sure that sort of thing's not happening ultimately. Dash 30 says, hey James, love the content. I have a very template team at the minute and would love some advice on how to strategize getting some differentials into my team over the busy chip schedule. Any advice? Such a broad question, mate. I could spend 3 hours answering it. It's a very difficult one to answer. What I would say is at this stage, when you've got a double game week for only 2 teams next week, this is not a time to be unhappy with the fact that you've got a template team, mate. Once we head towards blank and double season, you will naturally find splits in ways people want to play the game. And by default of that, you will find some. Okay? Don't force it for the sake of forcing it, pal. Jerry Dharma uses, I have 2 free transfers and 1.3 million in the bank based on what I mentioned above, which I'm not going to remember. Thoughts on Sarr and Cunha and 1.3 to Bumo plus and Dyer plus 0.6 and doing Raya to Alisson next game with how leaky Spurs are and it's a away trip. Jerry, I'd lost the will to live a little bit reading that, mate, but I've got no reason to tell you not to go and Bumo. Raya to Alisson's fine, mate. Hasselbank's win says, James, let's be frank here. There's no improvement in this Tottenham team and the form is absolutely shocking. When will you call for Ange to go? You have a blind spot here. That's fine, mate. not got anything to add, mate. I also don't take that offensively because I think it's a reasonable point, right? Because do I potentially have a blind spot about my own team? Yeah. And I won't pretend that that's a possibility. Yeah. Love is blind, right? You've heard that expression. Many of you will, right? So I don't take that offensively by what you said, right? But the time for me is not now. Jerry Dharma says, or maybe just do Cunha to Jerry. I love you, mate. I'm going to move on, mate. I can't remember it. Prashan says, hi James, thoughts on going Wood and Enzo for Bumo and Vissa in game week 24. Free Liverpool and Vitality sorted. Best FPL content, thank you. I mean, look, if Vissa has stayed with Brentford and they've not added a forward, then yeah, it's absolutely fine. Yeah, look, I mean, from the fantasy perspective, is there any reason to not attack Bumo and Vissa against Tottenham next week? Well, the biggest one would be if you haven't got your Liverpool players in place, right? Otherwise, yeah, fine. Boona says, any love for Luis Diaz? So tempted to go Diaz rather than Gakpo. Yeah, sure. I to be honest, Boona, I think with Diaz and Gakpo, like I imagine, I said this on our Patreon pod this morning, I imagine over the next 3 weeks, and I think that's important to consider the 2 great home games either side of 24, right? I think they'll probably perform similarly. And I think for a lot of people, the answer is like, what's your problem, right? What you're trying to get rid of. So for me, who's got Solanke, right? It was like, it's never a debate, right? So Anthony Gordon's got Fulham at home next week. Like, he's not bad, it's fine, right? But if Gordon was injured going into next week, there's a lot of people going to want to go Gordon to Diaz, right? So I think by virtue, it's close enough between the two of them. The answer ultimately might come down to what are you selling? So if you've got love for Luis Diaz, mate, rather than a Gakpo, I'd say yes. There'll be other people perhaps got more problems with their third forward, and that's why Gakpo's proving more popular. When you can look around and go, well, Gordon's in great form, Diallo and Rogers great enablers. There's more choice in the midfield area, right? So you want to go Luis Diaz, mate? Yeah, no problem with that whatsoever, buddy. CM Punk 2310 says, hey James, what's the current likelihood of Bournemouth versus Manchester United being brought forward to 33? If that falls into 33, then it's easier to run through 29 and dead end into 33. Okay, I like this question. I explain why I like this question. It's very important to understand the difference between a projection and a prediction. At the moment, the projection is that fixture will get brought forward. It's only projected that because it is more likely than other scenarios, but it doesn't mean it's likely. Okay? Does that make sense? It is more likely than other possibilities, but it is not likely. Okay? So to answer your question, the likelihood is it's unlikely. Okay? But based on it versus other possibilities, it's more likely. To give you a percentage, 25 to 30%, maybe. But then other possibilities are then lower than that, right? So that's probably where you're at the moment. I don't know if that percentage is accurate or not. It might be a bit higher. Probably, if anything, I've probably gone a little bit conservative there on that. But it's not likely. It still needs one of those two teams to make an FA Cup semi-final. Only 4 teams can make it. Are either of those 2 teams in the best 4 teams in this league? No. So at the moment, it's less likely than likely. Matt Jace says, start Rogers or Sarr this week. I've answered that. That's a big one this week, isn't it? Rogers and Sarr. Same answers I've given for others, Matt. Ashish says, hello, James. Bench 2 from Sarr, Cliver and Robinson. Thank you and good luck for your wild card, mate. He's probably going to be a free hit, but thank you, mate. Bench 2. Reluctantly, Robinson. I think Cliver, actually. Yeah. We're going like a Rogers, Sarr, Clive. We're attacking the fixture here. You're arguably asking the wrong person, maybe, because I'm liable very often to give you the fixture answer. FPL Uproar says, hello, James. Did Jackson to Gakpo earlier this week? Hope it pays off. Good luck and happy weekend. And to you too, my friend. No problem, Lucho. Thank you, mate. Matt Maher says, hi, James. Good luck with whatever you decide to do this week now. Have a few benching dilemmas. Bench 1 of Jackson, João Pedro, Rogers. Reluctantly, yeah, I think so. Then also bench 1 of Castagne and Lisandro Martinez. Martinez, straightforward, yeah. CM Punk 2310. Would you move João Pedro and Gordon to Bumo and Vissa next week? Move forward the Vissa transfer this week. As covered earlier, mate, I would not be buying João Vissa this week. There's a week of the transfer window still to go, and I'm pretty sure it closes ahead of game week 24. Gordon to Bumo next week is fine. It's okay. I wouldn't rule that move out myself, possibly. There is obviously there's a good possibility that Christian Romero will be back for Tottenham in that fixture next week. Darren Jenkins says, good job. You're doing well, James. If I'd done that, I'd have to just pack it in. Listen, I'm not going to bullshit anyone, and this morning I wasn't like, you absolute numbnuts idiot. Like, I did want to punch myself in the face. I think if I'd have had someone here who could have punched me, I'd have said, just punch me. And I'd have kind of deserved it in a fantasy format kind of a way. But as when I announced it on the Patreon podcast this morning, it's like, no one's died, man. That's it. The goalposts are moved. It's no one's fault other than my own. So it's not like I can be angry with anyone else. I just faced the challenge in a different way. And actually, do you know what? The challenge is quite exciting, right? I've got a better chance than many in terms of manipulating the 33 and 34 problem, because the visualization of what I can see in the future, not in terms of which players will do well, I mean in terms of the fixtures and stuff. So I've got a better chance than many. It's going to be tough. I've thrown away a lot of points. It's more that it's that I don't have the free hit later in the season, and what I would have gained in points, it's almost certainly gone, isn't it? So it is what it is. But in terms of packing it in, nah. I play a game. I can only blame myself for the way I've played this part of the game. We move. Giving up certainly wouldn't be great for the content, I don't imagine. Elliot says, hi, James. Bench order, Jebison, Castagno, and Van der Berg. I mean, it's Castagno, Van der Berg, Jebison, isn't it? Very unlikely. I've not seen Bournemouth's team news yet, but unless they've got an injury, he's very unlikely to start, isn't it? Lewis James says, what time do you usually get the bus to the match, James? I normally get the 56 minutes past bus. I'm sure there was a better way you could have come up with that, Lewis. I normally get a train that's normally about an hour and 10 minutes before kickoff, ordinarily. So bus a little bit before that, mate. It's Butch17 says, would you take out Alisson for Pickford and swap Van Heck for Trent? I mean, when you was reading that originally, I was like, what? But I guess there's a temptation on that. I think no. I think because of the blanks and the doubles coming up, I think I'd stick with Alisson and I'd go like Van Heck to Mikalenko next week and park it and leave it be. And the benefit of that is like the one extra transfer further down the line. You've got one extra fixture in game week 24 and you've got one extra transfer to use on your path. Darko Tarandex says, hi James, is there a possibility for some games to be postponed tomorrow or Sunday because of the storm? Thanks. Suj was very good for me this morning, Darko. Yeah, there's no point covering it anymore. No. You shouldn't have any problems. I mean, the weather even here in London was really shit yesterday, and this morning it absolutely lashed it down. Since then, it's been very calm. I'm looking outside now. It doesn't look particularly windy or anything. Admittedly, I'm in London and definitely won't be affected here. No, extremely unlikely, mate. I think that the worst of it is done and already gone. I think tomorrow's going to be pretty calm. So, yeah, very unlikely, mate. Thank you, George. No problems, mate. D.80 says, hi, James. This is so inevitable. This was going to happen. If I were to take a minus 56 this week, what team would you suggest? Joking aside, do you see Richarlison becoming an option? What are your thoughts on him and Spurs attack in general? It's an avoid, isn't it? I mean, again, look, in my circumstance, I'm probably putting something in, aren't I guess. But you can probably even hear in my tone I'm reluctant to do that just for Leicester at home. No, I would not be buying any of that at the moment in terms of a purchase, mate. I get it. Next few fixtures are pretty good. Strong no from me, mate, at the moment. I'm sure one of the players will probably do well. Working out which one is not going to be easy, mate. Lemon Seamus says, hi, James. Hope all is well. Thoughts on bench boosting this week with João Pedro, Munoz, Semenyo as my realistic bench. Will use free transfer on transfer to Kepa's fourth keeper. Best can afford at 4.7. Or primarily you are worried first and foremost most about this week. It does unbelievably actually put Anthony Kinski on the table for you. Probably don't recommend that. Kepa's fine as an option. Now, I presume from that you want to get another keeper in to match against that. I may be going with a different goalkeeper on free here. If I do, I could go Dubravka, but I know there's a chance Pope plays. But I think I'm going to go to free Newcastle. I've already got. You certainly wouldn't buy Dubravka anyway. Martinez, I would consider. I don't think you'd buy that either. Verbruggen for this week specifically, Everton at home, it's okay. Dean Henderson. I mean, if you're pairing that with Kepa, at least Kepa's got a good fixture 29. So maybe Henderson. I think we probably fancy Brentford to score this week, don't we? That's not a terrible one. I don't hate it, and I'm sure one of our patrons, FPL Odyssey, Alex, won't mind me saying this. We had a discussion yesterday about him bench boosting this week, and I don't want to put him in it in case he changed his mind, but I think he's decided to do it. I told him honestly that I wasn't hugely keen on it, but you know the messages always play it your way. And if I'm not hugely keen on that either, but if you fancy it, Lemon Seamus, you know what to do, mate. Perlo's Pen says, my defence is Gabriel, Trent, Castagno, 4.0, and I need one more. Who'd you go for? What value am I playing with here, buddy? What am I playing with? I mean, still Lewis Hall, arguably. I mean, probably not at this stage, I suppose, considering Newcastle's fixture 25 to 28 and then a possible blank 29. At the moment's kind of past, I think, for a Forest player. If you're on, great. It's probably past. Kirkes feels a little bit early at this stage. Yeah, do you know what? I'm just thinking about what I might actually wildcard. I'm thinking I don't want to do that. Um, Munoz. Munoz fixture's good. I don't know if that's 29. It's probably from now till 28. It's probably Munoz. But I don't know what money you're playing with, my friend. Shout out FPL Frost Frugal. Hope you were. Andrew Grondin says play Aina, Munoz, or Hausen. Maina, Munoz, Maina. Listen to me. Aina, Munoz, or Hausen. I've lost your question, mate. Sorry. Maina. Maina. Why do I keep saying Maina? Aina, Munoz, or Hausen. Easy for you to say, right? Aina, Munoz, or Hausen. Hausen, home to Forest. Aina, with the away game, the same fixture. I'm playing Munoz from that, mate. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was thinking about something else. Cole MCC says, hi, James. Shall I hang on to Enzo and Sarr for a while? Or should I switch to other cheap mids like Ahmad? As kind of said last week before United played Brighton, I'm not sure I'd be chasing Ahmad now. The best fixture went 2 weeks ago, didn't it? I completely get the idea of moving Enzo Fernandez on. It sounds like he's possibly going to be fit for the game tomorrow. I probably would be looking to move that on personally, but I'm not sure I'd be chasing it to Ahmad. Thank you, says afternoon, James. Sorry about what happened. I have 4 free transfers. I have 2 Newcastle, 2 Crystal Palace, probably 3 Liverpool by 24. Shall I make surgery to save my free hit for 34 and not use it in 29 based on projections? So, I'd very much recommend the podcast, the People's Poll podcast we did on Tuesday, where we looked at kind of free hit 29 versus 34. I think there is a lot more power in holding that back. He says, using it probably this week. For obvious reasons. I recommend that everybody plans to run through 29 at this moment, and then we might land before 25 and go, actually, yeah, okay, I do need to free hit in 25, and I totally accept that if that's what people then decide at that juncture. But I think ideally run through, mate. Best thing to do, Tanky, right? This is what I'd been plotting, was which 3 ultimately do you definitely want to keep hold of, right? And you might have a goalkeeper. If you've got something like Alisson, that's helpful, right? Or even Henderson in goal. If you've got that, that's not a problem. So then you can obviously bench 4 players in 29. Which 3 do you want to keep hold of? So for me, the value and what I would definitively want in sort of like game week 30 is like Salah plus Isak and Hall. That's where I'd be at the moment. So that's the 3 that I'd be planning to bench. The rest that I've got, I'd be looking to move in forthcoming weeks. Now, for you, for example, if you've got, let's say, Mateta, you probably don't want to sell him till the end. You may also conclude you want to keep him, right? Palace have got Southampton in 30. That's a little bit of a temptation. Liverpool got Everton at home in 30. That's a little bit of a temptation. The longer you can leave these transfers, the better. I think the Newcastle players you begin to cut from game week 25. So you've got 2, right? You might not have the value in Hall. If you don't have the value in Hall, cut him. If you don't have the value in Isak, I mean this honestly, consider cutting him. I have huge value in those 2 players where I don't want to move them, right? But it's them first. Arguably, Liverpool then becomes cuttable from game week 26. And ironically, it's Palace last. So work on that, figure out which 3, or if you've got a goalkeeper amongst that 4 that you want to bench 29 and start plotting your path. Please use FPL team as a recommendation. Duke of FPL says, hi James, is Szoboszlai worth it? Covered, I'm not especially keen, as I've said. LP says, hi James, thoughts on Timber to Donate this week. I presume that means Konate. Would bring me to 3 Liverpool, Salah, Diaz and Konate. And Gabrioni from Arsenal cheers. Yeah, I don't mind that. I understand that. It's a boring move, but it's an understandable move. Zubi says, hello James, is it worth going early with Liverpool assets with the storm looming over the UK? Konate is going up. Want to get your opinion. I don't foresee any problems for that game tomorrow, mate. Almost Seco, as there's a lot of players here, mate. Fabianski, VDB, and then as I read this out, I've got to work out who these players are. Vandenberg to Pickford, Castagne, bench boost. Pickford, Pedro, Milenkovic, and Castagne. Goalkeepers would be Raya, Pickford, expensive, have a good team value though. Bournemouth concede a lot of attempts from set pieces, I presume that's meant to say. Hence, tempted to play Milenkovic. It's a no from me, mate. I don't think that's strong enough as ever play it your way, but it would be a no from me. King of Mandalore says, does the minus 56 mishap make you less likely to do something like bench boost game week 1 again? Saving shits would at least cover you in a situation like this, albeit unlucky to happen again. Well, now, as I said earlier, I'm pretty pleased that bench boost isn't there, right? Because if I had to maneuver 33, 34 and find a way of getting to, the best possible 15 doublers for a double game week, like, that's worse in a way. I mean, I guess technically it would be better if I had it because points are points, right? But then I wouldn't have I can't remember what 26 points or whatever I got in game week 1 from the 4 bench players. I wouldn't have those points, right? So I'm kind of pleased that it's gone actually. So the answer to that would be no. For me, there's every chance I will bench boost game week 1 again next season. Ultimately, it will come down to what the law of the land is in terms of blanks, doubles, and projections for later in the season. And very importantly, what are the fixtures at the start? That's the killer. There's no way I could make that decision now without knowing what the game week 1 fixtures are next season. And not just game week 1, but weeks afterwards, right? So things like Chelsea, Man City playing each other, then having good fixtures afterwards, kind of helped lead into it. Yeah, I still didn't end up with any Man City. Marco, I would bench Amad Diallo from your choice there with Sarr and João Pedro. Raider says, hey, James, would you bench Wood, Pedro, or Rogers? I would play the forwards, mate. Tanky, no, you're right. He probably won't. Matthew Broad says, second question, pick a random number between 1 and 56. Got to laugh over these things. Exactly. What am I going to do? Kill myself? Like, no, come on. It's unfortunate. It's disappointing. I'm not going to pretend I'm not disappointed. But yeah, we move on. New challenge. The number I will pick is 7. Who knows? Might be lucky for me or not this weekend. Ty says, hi James, not owning any Liverpool defence outside the top 1 million. Already on Diaz and Salah. Contemplating go full attack and add Gakpo. However, also on Mateta, Isak, Wood. Worth the punt. Not quite sure what the question is other than going, you're contemplating full attack. I mean, yeah, it's fine if that's what you want to do, mate. Sam Atkins says, Hall Robinson this week, also playing Trent and Gabriel. I think on the fixture it needs to be Hall, isn't it? I'm actually going to back Fulham for a clean sheet this week and not Newcastle. But the reality is if I'm making that decision on the free here, Hall's going in for me over Robinson, right? So it's Hall. Marco says, Kanate unsafe pick. I covered that a bit earlier on, Marco, and I wouldn't say he's unsafe. Magic69 says, bench one of Bumo, Sarr, João Pedro. It's a familiar theme here. It feels like my deadline stream. The answer is going to be Sarr. Connor Bickerton says, punt on Richarlison. I'm going to skip that. I've covered. Francis Logan. 1 free transfer. Dunk to cash. Everton, Chelsea defenders on my bench. Problem with that is, like, look, next 3 fixtures for Villa don't look too bad at all. Then I wouldn't want any of that defensively. So you got a short-term wild card in the planning. Like, yeah, I don't mind. Otherwise, a no from me. Tanky says, as a Spurs fan, do you think Ange with his full 11 can replicate the first 10 games of the season in 23-24? Probably unlikely to get a repetition of those 10 games again, just purely by virtue of teams knew what were coming at them, right? So I think it was a little bit of a surprise for people originally, in terms of the style was quite unlike how many other teams played. So to get back to that, I mean, what was it? 8 wins and 2 draws from 10. Let's be real, it's pretty unlikely. So I'm gonna probably say no, right? Mick M says, no, I don't think so. Cloud Sky Fantasy Football Show, my friend Ian Parent says, how do, mate? Changes to UEFA tournament thoughts now as we enter the final group stage. I think maybe 30 teams with 3 pots of 10, 6 games, then cut 14 of those at the knockout stage could work. I mean, ultimately, this stage now is quite interesting where it's like, yeah, the jeopardy kicks in now. But even for my team last night, it's like, what's the jeopardy? You don't finish top 8. Okay, you have an additional game. I mean, my team particularly could do with 2 midweeks without a football match, right? That kind of goes without saying at the moment. So it's a little bit of a different desperation, but it's not a jeopardy for going out. Does the jeopardy exist for Manchester City at this moment? Yeah, absolutely it does. But if they win, they're definitely through. So it just becomes kind of a one knockout match for them, right? So I think ultimately, as I always say, football should have as much jeopardy as possible. By jeopardy, we mean the ability to be eliminated, the ability to be relegated, eliminated from competitions. The more jeopardy, the more is at stake, the better, the heightened your emotions in something, right? So, my reaction to it is I think the 8 group games is too much. I think. I also think, unfortunately, and it's not to say these teams don't deserve to be there, but particularly in the Champions League, when you look at some of the teams that are already out, it's not a surprise, I'm afraid to say. Kasim Arshad says, sell Trent for Bumo after double or Foden next week for Bumo. Certainly don't mind a Foden to Bumo move next week from a fixture perspective. Yeah, that's fine, mate. Jerry says, do you think this Bournemouth is a championship contender in Scottish League alongside Celtic with how unconvincing Rangers have been and Bournemouth performance against big teams this season? Okay, like, you're trying to get me in trouble here, aren't you? Like, could Bournemouth win the Scottish Premier League? Yeah. And I'll leave it there. Ian C says 1 free transfer used on Solanke to Gakpo. I mean, that's kind of what I tried to do. Would you bench Ahmad or Jackson? I would have been playing Jackson this week. Yeah. Stuart Day says, hi, James, loving the content. Thanks. Bench one of Rogers, Bruno or Jimenez this week. Cheers. With reluctance, Morgan Rogers, mate. Jordan Murphy has a benching dilemma. Got Kirkes coming off a nice goal and Aina with his recent assist. Who do I start? I mean, it depends what you think will happen in a football match, mate. I would play Kirkes. FPL Frost says, like the video and check out Patreon. Join for free, then see if you fancy any more of the brilliant additional content. Yeah, thanks. I can tell you that for free members, the final clip on the Best Bits video this week will be the start of this morning's Patreon podcast of me explaining what had happened. Suj did know what had happened, but us talking it through at the start. The Best Bits available for free. You can support us on Patreon, don't even have to pay, and you can have a look at the Best Bits. And if you see what you like, you can support the show at patreon.com/planetfpl. Tony Senior says, hi James, bench one from Bruno, Boomer, Rowell, Wood. I mean, there's going to be some mad benching dilemmas this week, aren't there? Bloody hell. Someone else. I mean, that's hugely depressing reading that. All penalty takers as well. I mean, that's proper depressing. Tony, I could only say to you, based on my predictions from the weekend this week, Bruno Fernandes, and I think that is a ridiculous answer. Stuart Day says, also thoughts on Marmouche at City and potential as an FPL asset. Thanks. I won't bullshit, Stuart. I have never knowingly seen the lad play, so I won't sit here and give you a bullshit answer of like, oh, he's going to be this, that, and the other. Like, I don't know, Stuart. It's the honest answer. VL says, what's up, James? Hope Tottenham do well and beat Leicester. Would you start Aina on Munoz? Yes. And would you triple captain Salah or play Arsman on Moyes? No. I mean, I'm likely to be the triple captaincy, mate. Jack Brokenshire says, afternoon, James. I have a benching headache between Rogers and Cliver. Any thoughts? Thanks, Jack. I would play Rogers, mate. Daniel Clayton says, afternoon, James. Thoughts on benching Munoz or Robinson, please? Feel Munoz has a haul coming soon, but Robinson's nice and steady, and United are currently a bit of a mess. Yeah, I would slightly lean for Robinson, because ironically, I think there's a little bit more clean sheet potential in that fixture. Steamroller says, hello, what do you think about Kanate's minutes? I've done Kanate, my friend, so I'm gonna skip that. I covered his minutes, mate. Are Everton capable of holding a clean sheet at Brighton? Yeah, I mean, capable, yeah. We've spoken about this with Everton under Sean Dyche, anytime, any place, right? Kept a clean sheet at Arsenal not that long ago, so I know the manager's changed, but asking, are they capable at Brighton? Well, the answer's yes, isn't it? Top 10 travel. I have a benching dilemma. Need to pick 2 between Castagne, Vandenberg and Munoz. Pretty sure I've already answered that question, but it would be the 2 fullbacks, mate. And please don't give me. But Vandenberg's been covering there on it. No, Castagne and Munoz, mate. Anwar Shah says, hi James, great content, playing Munoz or Robinson. Just covered literally for someone else, mate, but thank you. James Wright says, hi James, would you do Strand Larsen, Vardiol and Raya to Watkins, Mikalenko and a 3.9 goalkeeper from -4? This would mean playing Fabianski every week. Already got the Liverpool I want. Absolutely not, mate, because I don't think we can rule out the possibility of Areola coming back in for Fabianski at some point. And then to say you are snookered at that point would be an understatement. James says, hi James, would you bench boost with Fabianski? Nope. Not really interested in the other three, mate. That would scare me a little bit. One, the fixture. Yeah, the fixture is fished. The fixture is shit. And what I've just said. That bench does look great, right? Otherwise, the three outfield players looks pretty good. But are there better fixtures you can find with that three and other players moving forward? It would be a no from me personally. FPL Developer says, hi James, I've done this with Saar, mate. It's going to be the answer. Mustafa Bauer, hi James. Sanchez to Allison from -4 here. No, this would be a repetitive one. I'm very consistent in this answer. I would not take a -4 hit for a goalkeeper from a goalkeeper that I have playing. If you want to consider that move still next week because there is additional fixture, I can understand that a little bit more. However, Sanchez has a much better fixture next week, so the answer is still no. Mike Hunt says, hi James, will Moyes Everton be much worse defensively, deciding on Pickford? I don't think we can answer that yet, but I think the profile of what they do won't change much. They'd obviously had this lean with Jack O'Brien joining to kind of move into right-sided centre-back with Lindstrom dropping back in against my team on Sunday. That might make them even more solid, is a possibility. I don't think we can say, right? I mean, yes, Tottenham in the final 15 minutes had some moments, but before that didn't have many big ones last week. So I don't think we could say. I don't think there'd be enough either way for me to give you a reason to put you off of going a goalkeeper that still has the ability to haul. That's the important thing here. Can he haul? As a goalkeeper, Jordan Pickford is as capable of anyone of hitting like a 10, 11 pointer in a football match, right? So I haven't got enough reason to put you off that, mate. And I just realised what your name is. And on that bombshell, this feels like perfect timing. Thank you, Mike. It's just past 2:30 p.m, so I'm going to leave it there. I realise there's a lot of questions I've not got to. So if you want to ask me on Twitter, on Blue Sky, feel free to tag me. I will answer your question later today. I absolutely promise to do that. If you want to support the show, as I repeat, it's www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. Smash a like, hit the sub button. If you're on the audio, 5-star review goes a long, long way. Please double check your transfers before you hit the submit transfer button, and have a great weekend, everyone. Hope your arrows are green. For the benefit of those on the audio, cue music, please. Match up.